Up next, we have Wendy Smith from Ards and North Down Borough Council. Now, Wendy is the council's event manager with almost 28 years' experience in creating and managing a huge range of events, including fireworks displays, arts and crafts events, foods events, and 3 Jubilee celebrations. No mean feat. In addition to that, Wendy and her team support event organisers who showcase culture and heritage. So please welcome Wendy Smith.
Thank you, Donna. That was a much nicer way to introduce me than I introduced myself. My 3 Jubilee reference was the fact that I've been there for 3 Jubilees. This year, I think when we do our 80th celebration of our commemoration of D-Day, I'll have been all 80 as well. So I'm here today for 2 reasons. The first one is to check out if Ursula's lunch is as good as the one we had at Montalto. And the other reason that I'm here is to show off. So basically, those are my 2 favourite things in the world to do. Okay, so as you can see there, that's the council's brand stand for sustainability. Now, it does link into a lot of strategies and policies, but I can see that the bad boy table at the back is switched off, so I'm not going to tell you what they are. Okay, so the scene. My button's not pressing. Aha, the scene. So, the tourism team in the council, I have to hasten to add they're not me. At this stage of my career, I just walk about the site and say, hello, how are you? Where are the refreshments? Well, no, actually, that's not 100% true. Last year at an event, I found myself black and white waitressing, which was a skill I had never discovered before, and I was really, really good at it. Except I couldn't get my head around table numbers, so they had to say to me, the one with the lady with the pink top, dear. So, and at the same event, and I think I can see Heather cringing now, we were having some traffic problems, and I took it into myself to close the road. I was seen walking down the road with a cone in each hand, calling over to the police, I'm just doing this myself. And which the police waved and said, that's fine, on you go. So, the range of events that the team deliver, there are 8 events. That's the Pipe Band Championships, and it's nice to see Patricia here as well. We do Sea Banger, Cumber Earlies, Tide and Turf Festival. New this year is a Wild Goose Chase, and it really is a Wild Goose Chase because we don't know what's in it yet, and 2 Christmas switch-ons. And we attract 95,000 visitors over the course of the year. And on top of this, we grant aid events ranging from the Open House Festival, Portico Arts events, and festivals in Donaghadee and Cumber, and that attracts a further 81,000 visitors. So, what to do? We are passionate about sustainability at events and have introduced a number of successful initiatives. We've got reusable signage, free public transport. We have rules in place for traders. We do check our distance for travellers, for performers, etc. And we can't really afford to bring them from very far anymore either. We have a sustainability checklist which we apply to each of our events. And we carried out market research and we're told that our customers cared about recycling. Our biggest problem remained what to do about the waste. We tried everything. We created bin monsters, which were cleverly designed categorised bins. This was a great idea, but aspiration is a fine and wonderful thing, and reality is quite another. Imagine you're at an event and you've got 4 children with you, and they're horrible. And you're carrying all their plates to the bins, and they're tugging at you and wanting to go and see something else. So let's face it, just stick it into the bin that's closest to you. You really do want to recycle, but it's a nightmare. So, after much angst and many conversations, our genius colleagues in waste came to us with a solution. And now. So, their cunning plan was this. We have created recycling points at events, and this is the only place that's available to dispose of your rubbish. These points are manned and doubled up as an educational piece for the public. And as a result, all of last year, we had 0% contamination, and I am terribly proud of that. So, the not so nice pieces. Okay, let me just get this. The cost. I won't lie, this is a very expensive option. It involves 3 members of staff per recycling point, often at time and a half or double time. Most sites need 3 or 4 of these. We also need 3 Mac packs or small bin lorries on site. Add to that the budget hike to pay for all the extra Freddos and fizzy drinks. We operate in a strict bribery policy at the NDBC. So for this work, we needed to seal up the normal bins, and this sent folk into quite the spin. And for the first year, it was rather rudimentary. Black bin bags with a big rake of masking tape round it. We do regret asking our works team to do this, as they're not sartorial creatures. We also hadn't got our comms right, so people didn't really understand why the bins were sealed up. A big part of the battle is changing mindsets and attitudes. So throughout the course of this year, we've been releasing the good news story of success, and gradually people have got used to what we're playing at. We need to work hard with our own teams as well. We actually have experience of our works team calling us over so that we could watch them cut off a recyclable cable tie. So that's why we've been so lucky with our colleagues in waste, or the bin police as we call them. So these are the clever bits. For this year, we've learned our lessons well. We are creating an identifiable look. We're using witches' hats, which provide shelter for staff, but also create a very visible centre. The image at the bottom there is what we're going to have as a banner at the top of those shelters. We've brought proper bin covers, which are the ones on the left, and they say, go to the recycling station. I don't know, I kind of like the bin vibe, but I'm advised this is the way to go. We are hiring and training events casuals to man the station, and this frees up waste staff and adds to our resource, and we also pay a flat rate for that. Each one of these will be supervised by 1 waste team member. We hope to extend this out to our larger grant-aided events, like Picnic in the Park that runs every Sunday in Ward Park, but we just need to scratch our heads a bit more about how that's going to work. So, as I've mentioned, this has very much been a joint initiative. So I've brought Sharon Duncan along with me today, who's our Chief Inspector of Bin Police. Sharon is very, very passionate about this project, and I thought it would be really useful for you guys to hear something about her perspective.
Good morning, everyone. I couldn't blend into the background in this outfit today, so it's very nice to get the opportunity to speak to you all today. As Wendy has already mentioned, I am extremely grateful to be given the opportunity to talk to you all about how successful this project has been for us. So, as we've mentioned, my name is Sharon, and I am actually the supervisor of all 9 recycling centres in Ards and North Down Borough Council, but more affectionately known in our team as the Chief Inspector, which actually I haven't got a badge for yet, Wendy, by the way. Need one of those. Oh, thank you. So I've been privileged enough to be part of the campaign since the introduction of the recycling points at events. And I was at the forefront of this organisation from its rollout. So basically from the word go, we really were getting out on the ground, chatting to the public, and we knew that's what we needed to do if we were going to make this a success for people. So myself and colleagues within Waste and Cleansing section knew how important it was to be able to educate people, and the best way of doing this was being out in the ground and communicating with traders and also with members of the public at events. So liaising with our marketing team, we got staff out in the ground and decided to start organising designated recycling points, which were manned by staff at all times. So as well as standing at the bin stations, I would get out and actually chat with the traders to find out what sort of materials they were using to give out to the public. And it actually came across that there were traders using 3 different types, for example, of coffee cups. So there was a different coffee cup for each waste stream, which was causing a lot of confusion with the traders and with members of the public. So being situated at the bins, I was able to interact with them directly, and I've received such positive feedback from people, just in terms of giving people the time to educate them and chat with them and find out any questions or concerns which they had. So for example, I had a member of the public approach me, as Wendy had mentioned. A lot of these events are geared towards families with children. They were coming up, they had plates of food. I was able to take the time to speak to them and explain which waste stream each individual piece of material would go into. It also turned into a bit of a competition, which was lovely in terms of people with children with them, because you could see them sort of standing in the background and thinking, Mummy, I know which bin that goes into, and they're arguing for a bit, and then slowly they approach you and you can see the child was right the whole time. You know, so it was lovely to try and interact with families that way. And it goes out into the house then as well. You know, that rolls out into what they're doing at home and how they're managing their waste at home as well, and what they're able to learn from us on the ground. So what we then did was, as well as having the designated recycling points, we were able to introduce another section of our recycling officers beside us. So people coming up, for example, because I worked in waste and cleansing, I was able to understand how people order extra bins if they needed it, order kitchen caddies, for example. So we were able to educate them as to where they could go to for extra help in terms of their recycling needs. So they could go beside us to the recycling team then, who were positioned beside us, and ask them any questions, or if they needed to order any containers for their home, they could also do that. What we could also do, we had litter pickers. So again, it was really interacting with our whole waste management team. We had litter pickers who would also pick around the event, and what they did was they carried with them 2 different coloured bags. So they had a blue bag for their recyclables and a red bag for their landfill. So it meant anyone who was a bit standoffish about approaching someone at a bin point, they were able to walk alongside these litter pickers, and they would say, oh, I'm not too sure where this goes. So they helped them by picking it up and putting it into their bags. They would then carry this waste, bring it to the recycling points, and then they would litter pick it into the designated individual bins, so they were in the correct waste stream, which we found was a great interactive way of anyone who possibly had dropped anything as well. Again, it was making sure it was going directly to the correct recycling point as well. So isolating bins at bin stations was another thing that we came up with. Again, what you can find is if you have a recycling point, 3 bins that people need to use, but you maybe have 10 or 15 people approaching you at once, they might sneak something into one of those bins. So what we decided to do was to isolate bins behind us. So we were literally forefront, the 3 bins there, 2 members of staff, and we were able to interact individually so they couldn't access bins behind us until they were ready to be exchanged. Again, another issue that we had was if people were approaching us with, obviously with it being an event, different types of drinks, liquids, ice cream, etc., we realised people were sort of coming up and going, oh, I haven't really finished this, I don't really want to approach them because there's liquid in this. So what we then came up with was the idea of using barrels, containers, which we also kept beside the bins, so people could come up, if we could either take it off them if we needs be, or they could decant the liquids themselves into the barrel, so they were able to put then the relevant tin or whatever it was they had into the correct container. So also, as Wendy touched on as well, what we were able to do is have 3 different vehicles for the 3 separate waste streams. This enabled us to monitor exactly how well we were doing in terms of the waste that we were collecting and how much was actually going for recycling. So once the different waste streams had been delivered, those lorries were weighed, and then we were able to see exactly how much waste had gone to recycling and had gone to landfill. It has been so successful that we were able to see over 90% of our materials at events have started going to recycling, purely from the work on the ground, discussing it with people and educating people. Waste really can be a minefield. I remember I did an event recently and sat in a room and asked people, what colour bins should their pizza box go into, their takeaway pizza box. And I'm sure if I did that in the room right now, it'd be a bit of a question on that one, a bit of a debate. But even being out in the ground, able to educate people as to which bin their pizza box goes in, which is brown or green, by the way, depending on which area you're in, was really interesting to get the feedback from people who were grateful of us taking the time to chat to them. It really is about communicating. I can't get that point across enough. And getting everyone on board, communicating between ourselves and the events team to ensure that we're covering every point possible in assisting people with their recycling. So my closing statement really would be, people do attend events to enjoy themselves, and I personally feel that getting them involved in recycling should be just as much of an enjoyment as attending the event itself, because it can be fun. You know, we do interact with families, we do try and chat with them and find out which competition, you know, who knows best in the family as to where the recyclables go. So I do think recycling should be part of that enjoyment of the event. Thank you very much.